Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about the best Squirrel Commander with Bloomburrow. There is a lot of new squirrels within Bloomburrow, and some nice new choices for commanders as well. They're a relatively new tribal/kindred deck. First, they became bigger with Modern Horizons 2 and Fang coming out there and stuff. But with Bloomburrow, they've kind of exploded, right? You can build a full squirrel deck. You don't need to worry about anything else beyond that. Mostly they are built around building tokens, flooding the board, and then they've also got some stuff around like sacrificing tokens and throwing squirrels at people. Before we get into it though, make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, share it around and stuff. All of that stuff helps us grow and helps you guys, get more content and stuff. So first up, we've got Fang. So he is the OG commander here. You can use his ability as either buffing things up, or you can use it as removal. Most powerful, probably pure Squirrel Commander. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be the best fit all the time. It doesn't mean that you necessarily want to be using him all the time. He is essentially a doubling season, but with nuts. Every time you create a token, you're going to create that many squirrel tokens in addition to that, which is really great. He goes infinite very easily with a lot of different stuff. However, if you have a sub theme into your deck, there might be better options for you to want to use, or, you might not want to use him because he does have a reputation of being quite strong, especially if you go and add in a whole bunch of squirrels and just make this hugely oppressive kind of huge squirrel based deck. You could just use another commander instead, and it's not going to be quite as oppressive, and it could be more fun, especially depending on what your kind of sub themes you might be looking at is. Because when at least I'm building a deck, if I'm making a squirrel deck, it's not just going to be squirrels, it's going to be squirrels, and then to use those squirrels, I'm going to be doing something else in addition to it. Or, you want to kind of have a theme and a game plan which comes into your sub theme. The other choice you've got is, one of the other choices is Hazel of the Root Bloom. So this is the face commander from the pre-con. She is built around like generic tokens, but uses squirrels as well. You can just tap any tokens with her, and you're going to be able to get that mana. She's just a huge kind of mana dork that can do stuff with a lot of different tokens. But personally, I just don't think squirrels are necessarily her best thing. You can use her with squirrels and stuff, especially if you go like some kind of cloning deck with her. But personally, kind of looking at her, I think the best way to kind of play her, and the most interesting way, if you want to kind of build into this section, would be to go more like huge tokens with squirrels as kind of like more of a sub theme. You just don't need to go necessarily kind of full squirrels with her. To have a look at some cards you could potentially kind of use with her is stuff like Idol of Oblivion. You create the colorless Eldrazi, and now you've got two of them. The Mimic Vat, I think, is huge with her, especially if you go and like you could copy something from someone else, or you could like get a squirrel locked in there and then just constantly kind of make more squirrels and then copy the squirrels and stuff. Helm of the Host, really great. Bramble Sovereign, just stuff to be able to like make copies of things, and like the offspring kind of stuff. You can then, use her as more of like a populate. And I think that's a better way to kind of look at her, is that she is a way for you to be able to essentially populate once every end step. And then if it's a squirrel, twice. So you want kind of to make big squirrels and kind of copy those. So like, for example, a Fang, like if you have her as your commander and then you get out Fang and you use like Helm of the Host with him, then from there you can just constantly create more and more Fangs. It's really great. All right, we've got the odd Acorn Gang. So these guys here are the other kind of secondary commander within the Squirrel Precon, besides Fang, who's also in there. So this could be a very interesting Voltron-esque deck, and that's personally the way I would kind of look at it. If you want to go have one big squirrel that you kind of throwing at someone, this is a very interesting and fun way to do it. So you utilize your squirrels to buff up your creatures. They have essentially all your squirrels will have tap, target creature gets +2/+2, target squirrel gets +2/+2 and gains trample. So you can use your squirrels to buff up a big thing. You can also get some card draw. If you like sneak a squirrel past someone, you can get a card draw from that. So the best way to kind of look at these guys is create a lot of squirrel tokens, but then those squirrels are essentially just ways for you to buff up one big squirrel to throw at something. Again, you could use Chatterfang to throw it at someone, or you could just turn other things into squirrels as well. Like you could get a big thing and then have a Maskwood Nexus down, and then all of a sudden it's a squirrel and you've got it flying, and then you can just go in for like a kill with it. While you're creating squirrels, you can also play some bigger artifacts to buff up the Acorn Gang to send them at someone. So stuff like, you know, just going full-on Voltron, so Sword of the Squeak, makes it so that you get +1/+1 for each squirrel if they're all base power 1/1, which they usually are. Brotherhood Regalia makes it so you can't get blocked. Fire Shrieker means that you'll get double struck, so that means that each time your squirrel that it's attached to attacks, then you're going to be able to get 2 cards. And then Coat of Arms will just buff up all your squirrels based off of how many squirrels you've got. We've got Chamelia, and she's probably my favorite. I will say straight out the bat, she's my favorite. I'm probably very biased towards her, and she works very well with a food sub theme. So if you wanted to go, you know, squirrels and foods, I personally really like her. You could obviously still use Chatterfang if you wanted to, but I just prefer her, and I think that she could be just as strong. You're going to be creating a lot of foods and a lot of squirrels with her. You can use those foods to forage, and then that's going to buff up your creatures. It's best, again, if you just focus down on just squirrels and just foods. Don't go with, like, you know, other kind of tokens or anything like that. Just purely focus down on those. She can go infinite very easily with like Yigra or Peregrine from Lord of the Rings. You go wide, and then you buff up all your squirrels, and then you've got foods that you can use for different stuff, whether it's health gain or, you know, stuff like the Rampacious Guest to come in and eat them all, or, you know, the Confectioner, all that kind of stuff. And you can also forage at instant speed, right? So you can forage at instant speed to survive like removals. If someone's going to use like a 3 damage thing on Chamelia, then you can forage and then boom. You can also forage from your graveyard in case, you know, I'm kind of not mentioning that. You don't need to use foods to forage, but foods are just a very efficient way to do it. So these are the 2 cards that, again, she just goes infinite with very easily. Peregrine, whenever you create a token, you'll create that +1 additional food. So if you sack this food, then you're going to be able to create a squirrel, which creates another food, which you can sack, and then boom, boom, boom. And Yigra turns all of your creatures into foods, which makes it go very, very easily with Chamelia, just because all of your squirrels are therefore food. So you can sack a squirrel, and then boom, now you've got another squirrel back. The last one here is Cornelia. Now, she is technically not legal, or he, but that doesn't matter too much. I don't think people will care too much if you were to use them. Just have a backup commander just in case. Very similar to Chatterfang in regards to being able to buff up and kill things with their abilities. You can see here 2 and a black to essentially remove something or reduce its damage, and then 1 green to buff something up. It's all based on getting acorn counters, and you get acorn counters whenever you cast a spell with a squirrel in its art, or whenever a squirrel you control enters the battlefield or dies. So you can get a lot of acorns. It plays very similar to energy. I don't think it's insanely powerful. I don't think it's, you know, powerful enough that people are going to be like, no, you cannot play this. It's not too much to say. It's very similar to Chatterfang, as I said, but like, you know, giving you the option of either removal or buffing something up instead, which is very cool. Again, technically not legal, but still fun. So this is essentially kind of like a quick guide. If you want a generic squirrels, then Chatterfang and Cornelia are going to be your best options. I've got the gold medal up here for Chatterfang because I do think that he is still the best, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be the best in every single deck. I do think, as I said, if you've got squirrels and food together, then Chamelia just becomes potentially better than Chatterfang. Odd Acorn Gang, if you want to make Squirrel Voltron, that's a very interesting way. And then Hazel, as I said, also, I don't think she necessarily needs to be just squirrels. You could build her as just big tokens with Populate, and you can do like a side theme of squirrels. So what are your thoughts? Let me know down below. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.